Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for the week that was. Let's take a look at the top stories that made headlines around the globe this week. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu is calling for international cooperation to combat violent extremists in Africa. In his first speech at the UN General Assembly, Tinubu touts the need to prioritize Africa's development and foster mutually beneficial partnerships. State House correspondent Adesoa Omoran reports.
The United Nations General Assembly debate commenced with Secretary General Guterres offering a frank assessment of the state of the world.
Our world is becoming unhinged. Geopolitical tensions are rising. Global challenges are mounting. And we seem incapable of coming together to respond. We confront a host of existential threats, from the climate crisis to disruptive technologies, and we do so at a time of chaotic transition.
World leaders took turns to highlight pressing global issues. Amidst this, Nigeria's Bola Tinubu listened to fellow leaders and engaged in sideline meetings, including discussions with King of Jordan and the President of Angola. After over 20 world leaders, Tinubu finally stepped onto the world's biggest diplomatic stage for his first address.
On behalf of the people of Nigeria,
President Tinubu highlights Africa's unique challenges rooted in a history of unfulfilled promises and exploitation. He urged global cooperation to support Africa's development.
Many proclamations have been made, yet our troubles remain close at hand. Failures in good governance have hindered Africa, but broken promises, unfair treatment, and outright exploitation from abroad have also exerted a heavy toll on our ability to progress. Given this long history, if this year's theme is to mean anything at all, it must mean something special and particular to Africa.
Tinubu commits to leading by example through reforms in Nigeria, accepting short-term hardships for long-term growth.
The question is not whether Nigeria is open for business. The question is how much of the world is truly open to doing business with Nigeria, and how African is an equal, mutually beneficial manner. Direct investment in critical industries, opening airports to a wider range and larger quantity of African exports, and meaningful debt relief are important aspects of the cooperation we seek.
On the issue of climate change, President Tinubu called for a fair, just, and firm commitment to Africa. He also challenged the ongoing exploitation of Africa's mineral-rich areas, including Nigeria, citing crimes perpetrated by foreign entities and aided by local criminals.
Given the extent of this injustice and the high scales involved, many Africans are asking whether the phenomenon is by accident or by design.
In his approximately 20-minute speech, President Tinubu concluded with a call for regional empowerment.
To the rest of the world, I say, work with us as true friends and partners. Africa is not a problem to be avoided, nor is it to be pitied. Africa is nothing less than the key to the world's future.
President Bola Tinubu's speech underscores that Africa's potentials and opportunities are global in scale. It is left to be seen how this speech inspires collaboration and efforts to unlock Africa's potential, leading to a better world for all. From the United Nations General Assembly, Adesoa Omoran, Arise News.
Fantastic report there from our State House correspondent Adesoa Omoran. who's had a very busy week. But in the early hours of Wednesday, we did see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu delivering his first address at the United Nations General Assembly, and he raised a lot of important issues to encourage, solidarity among other nations. But there were, key things that he focused on. One being the development of Africa, democracy and military coups in Africa, terrorism and human trafficking, protection of mineral-rich areas as well, and even climate change. And there was something that the president said that really, I guess, struck me. The question is not whether Nigeria is open for business. The question is how much of the world is truly open to doing business with Nigeria and Africa in an equal, beneficial manner. And of course, I believe that I think it was about 20-minute speech, very, very powerful, very salient points. You could see the president really taking charge of the conversation. And, he argued that if this year's theme is anything to look at, any impact on global institutions, other nations, the private sector as well, must see Africa development as a priority, not just for African interests, but for their interests as well. And because of the long-standing, when I say internal and external factors, Nigeria's and Africa's economic structures have been skewed to impede development. And that's a very interesting thing for him to say. But I also believe that as much as we are, we have this gesture that has been put out to the world, it's very important that as he makes his way back to Nigeria, that's if he's not even back yet, that we also, is that we have to carry our own matter on our head, basically. It's good that we have that representation, but there's still so much work to be done. And there's so many things that he spoke about. A lot of people were, waiting to hear what he was going to say, especially with this coup d'etat that has been happening across about 7 countries. Now it's being referred to as the coup belt of Africa,
Sadly.
And, of course, him being the head of ECOWAS, seeing what his body language was. And I'm very happy that he did say that they're going to continue to find diplomatic ways to resolve this problem. Climate change, too, very, very, very important. The battle against extremists. We have this issue with, Boko Haram, with, even in some of these other countries like Niger, for example, where they're still dealing with Al-Qaeda and, a lot of these extremists on ground. Yeah. Not to beat the horse too much, he did, like I said, give a very, very powerful speech. But I believe that outside of this, it's important that we start to look inwards and start to walk the walk, not just talk the talk, but also walk the walk.
Absolutely, Shaitan. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, did very well in his speech. There's no point pretending. He delivered a powerful speech. But a speech it was. This is what was expected of him, given that the United Nations General Assembly was going to be the big field, in terms of engaging with the international community. It's less than 4 months that he has spent on the saddle. He's been to India, he's been to a few other places in Africa. I think that what UNGA did for him was to establish his tone and the import of what the Asiwaju presidency means and is trying to convey to the world. It wasn't extraordinary, but it made the needed impact. But he will do much more. He will do, UNGA will be, like an annual thing. This is just, I think, part of the reason why everybody was focused on let's hear what the president will say, let's see how he will represent us, is because these are still early days, early months, less than 4 months in office. He will do more, the same way that General Buhari, went and did, almost on a yearly basis. Good luck, Jonathan, before him. Yaradua, Obasanjo. This is what presidents do, and they are important outings in defining the external relations, on the one hand, of a country, and of course what you need from the international community. And I think that that's the important thing that Asiwaju, spoke to, that Africa does not need to be bypassed and does not need the pity of the international community. What is required is constructive, mutually beneficial engagement. And I think that will sink in the international community. Like you said, in terms of looking inward, I mean, that's the whole point of it. I appreciate the need for Asiwaju's reforms to be to be wearing this toga of we're trying to appeal to the international community, to to the global institutions that will assist us. But there's a limit to which you can dance, along that line without injuring your people. And you would need to learn from history. Those who think that the more that you try to please the World Banks of this world, the IMFs of this world, that it will be better, for you. Your policies and the things that you are trying to do should not just target 10 to 20% of your population. Everybody must be brought on board. And therefore, when you are appealing to these people that you are telling, we're open for businesses, how will those businesses impact the lives, and the security of already more than 130 million multidimensionally poor people in Nigeria? How are the policies working at this time? At what point do we need the international community to endorse us? And will the endorsement of such policies mean that we're doing well? Those are the things, that the president and his team will have to look at in terms of economy, in terms of environment, and in terms of regional integration. Like I said, he spoke very well. He was consistent in saying that coups are not needed here. And that as the chair of ECOWAS Commission, he will continue to preach that democracy matters, and that's what should prevail in Niger and a few other places, in Africa. We can't ignore the fact that it is important for the handlers of the president to always just basically communicate what the president has said, rather than trying to sugarcoat and deodorize, the things that he said. And you could see that just like the India-Dubai trip, ended up with some corrigendum. The same thing has now happened with what happened in the United States in New York. When during Galele, the spokesperson of the president, tried to sugarcoat and relied on a third-party event planner to communicate what was blatantly wrong. Still early days. I understand the need, the pressure on people who speak on behalf of president and government. Slow down, take everything on board, and communicate based on your own understanding of what your principal is trying to communicate. Not
excellent points.
But these are still early days. I think that the president will do well. All right, we proceed. And for the past 2 weeks, the entertainment industry has been mourning the death of musician Ileriolu Aloba, artistically known as Mohbad. His demise has gained both local and international attention after fans look to social media demanding a thorough investigation. A procession walk and tribute concert were held in Lagos for the late rapper. Arise correspondent Ikenna Kingsley reports.
On the 12th of September 2023, Nigerian music industry lost a talent, Ileriolu Aloba, popularly called Mohbad. And since his death, there's been an outrage on social media, people calling for justice for those responsible for his demise. Today, we are taking a walk from Lekki Phase 1 gate down to Murikonola Park as fans pay tribute to him in Lagos State. Justice for Mohbad! Justice for Mohbad! Social media has been buzzing for 2 weeks since the demise of former Malian records artist Mohbad. His death has enraged fans who have been calling for the Nigerian police to investigate issues surrounding his death. However, the Lagos State Police Command on Thursday confirmed the exhumation of the corpse of the late singer for autopsy to investigate circumstances surrounding his death as Nigerians continue to call for justice.
We are here for Mohbad, not against any political movement. We are here for justice for Mohbad.
A peaceful procession to pay tribute to the late singer was held in Lagos as fans staged a peace walk from Lekki Phase 1 to Murikonola Park in VI, where a concert was held in his honor. Celebrities like Dotun, Kike, Zlatan, OGB, Davido, just to mention a few, were present to pay their respects to the late rapper. Attendees had a few words to say about the artist.
The government is doing everything we can on this issue, and I want to give thanks to our governor, for taking every necessary step to make sure that we get justice for Mohbad. It's something I'm also willing and ready to be part of, and I've done everything possible within my means to make sure that we get this, and I'm happy that every stakeholder on this are also doing everything possible to make sure that justice is being served, and that's also what the youth are also re-echoing today, and I'm sure we're definitely going to get that justice.
I believe the death of Mohbad will change the narrative, as it used to be before, whereby the industry is divided. This time around, we are coming out with one voice. An injury to one is an injury to all. Justice must be served.
Imole, Imole, Imole forever. We'll never, ever, ever forget. And we're going to make sure that we get justice. That is what police they do. When they still they form activity. If they like, when they no show working. Justice is a must. Everybody that was responsible in his death must be made to pay. We cannot continue to exist in a lawless country for the sake of Mohbad, so that he can find eternal peace. We must make sure that we get justice.
I'm here to honor him. I considered him a friend when he was here, and on his passing, it's good to honor people when they're here and when they're gone. And even for an artist, when you look around here now, you see the amount of people here, to support Mohbad. It's almost like a dream of every artist, and I'm happy that he's getting it right now. I don't know if he can see it, but people loved him when he was here, and I'm sure people still love him very much. And we just pray that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
We've all gathered here because we want justice for Mohbad. The situation that just happened is very bad for our industry, and for me as a record label owner, it has kind of given me a lot of things to think about on how to manage people and all of that, and how disputes can be resolved. So we're here because we are gathered here to make sure that Mohbad gets justice, and for him to get justice, it helps our industry. This is a very, very sad situation. That's why we're gathered here. This boy has fought so hard.
The voice of the youth in Lagos have been heard loud and clear, with one demand only: that justice is served.
You don't have to hurt me before you win.
As the late rapper Mohbad lives on through his music, fans and music lovers can only hope that those responsible for his death be brought to book. Ikenna Kingsley, Arise News.
It makes me feel bad, more than to feel good. Now I feel better. Through lyric, you jelly back. To repay my one con, I said put my one drug. Now I'm on top. Life more than any contour. On silence mode, but beast near me. Will it cause violence, but still priest near me. You don't have to hurt me before you win. You don't have to kill somebody before you sin. Oh, Charlie Browse, there they lose sober. Oh, there they go far. Without God, someone wrote the lure. So fucking sherua. Even though I'm from you, love about the spoon, early juju. If you mad at the body, that I hear laddie. That I hear 1990, all the bitty party. It makes me feel bad, more than to feel good. Now I'm feel better. Through lyric, you jelly back. To repay my one con. I said put me one drug. Now I'm on top. Life more than any contour. Mo pa one in Nigeria, o tu pa one in London. Fún wọn ní KPK pa wọn last boy wo mo ń tọ́nà.
All right, justice for Mohbad. Shaitan, I know that this is a subject matter that is very much, that you're very much interested
definitely,
in. Like we all are. I think that the processions all over the country and in many parts of the world, several parts of the UK, in London, I think Dagenham was last night. Peckham was before then, and then his image on Times Square in New York and everything. I think that has been well deserved, and it has, helped in putting the conversation, on the front burner. The procession in Lagos, of course, we know that in some part it turned Ori, as we didn't expect. But I think that the key message in all this is that this is a young man who was cut short, cut down in his prime at 27, and that a lot of people suspect that there might have been foul play, either directly or remotely, in what led to him, which is to his death. And this is essentially about the fact that, yes, the governor might be interested in what killed him, the police might be interested, and they are already doing something. The message to me is that don't let us just concentrate on the last 48 hours of Mohbad. Yes, a nurse has been arrested, his body has been exhumed, etc. But then what about the last 48 weeks of his life? You know, what are the things that could have driven him to extreme situations that will lead to this, you know, the curious illness, you know, and what eventually led to the traumatizing last 48 hours and eventually his death. So the message really is that justice must be served. But of course, let's hope that the police, you know, will do a good job this time around. Shaitan.
All right, then. I mean, I would like to take this particular story from behind, so to speak. I mean, there's been a lot of developments regarding this story. Now, a candlelight procession was was organized by, you know, of course, his loved ones. And on Friday, we did see that candlelight procession take place, starting off from the Lekki Phase 1 toll gate down to the Muri Okunola Park. I remember even myself, I made sure that around that time, I wasn't, you know, on the road because I was already envisioning how much traffic there was going to be, just because of how much the world, how much Nigerians have come out to show love for this very young man. You know, one thing about Nigerians is when we carry something on our head, we take it all the way. And at this point, I have to mention that, in fact, 3 of his songs has made its way into the Billboard 100 charts, which is no easy feat. Right now, there are songs that have just come out by Drake, Taylor Swift, barely 2 weeks ago, and we're seeing those kind of songs in close competition with 3 songs from Mohbad, who has now passed away. So that is really the power of what happens when Nigerians come together and really put their support behind someone. But what happened on Friday night, I really have to say that I am quite disappointed in the way some members of that candlelight procession, I would say, dishonored the memory of Mohbad. That candlelight procession had been approved, Muri Okunola Park had been approved by Lagos State government for this to happen. On the flyer, it said it was going to start at 5 and end at 8. The candlelight procession ended at 8, and some members of that procession decided to go to the Lekki toll gate and protest. I don't understand. What are we doing? If you really know what happened on October 20th, 2020, and you really honor the lives of those and the souls of those that were lost at the Lekki toll gate, you would see that there was no reason to bring those two things together. What happened on Friday was not a continuation of EndSARS. It was not a call for an end to police brutality. The Lagos State government had no hand in Mohbad's death. In fact, they have taken this case on very personally. They have exhumed his body. As of Thursday night, a statement was released that the autopsy had been completed, and very soon we're going to find out exactly what happened to him. But instead, some people went to the Lekki toll gate and started protesting. I have seen videos where the police had come out the police had been there begging people to go home. There were so many people out on Friday night that it could have easily turned to a stampede. In 2021, 12 people lost their lives at the Travis Scott concert, Astro World, due to asphyxiation because they couldn't control the crowd. Crowd control is very important. It was not a concert where security had been put out for that exact reason. And the police had come out over and over again begging people to go home. But people refused, and they've even released a statement to that effect, saying that, you know, I don't agree with the fact that they had thrown tear gas into the public, but they had no other choice. It is the global standard for dispersing crowds. If they cannot control the crowd, what they have to do is make sure that people leave. So when it comes to this particular thing, it was a bit iffy that they would do that. Secondly, I would also like to touch on the fact that Nigerians need to calm down. There has been so much happening in the court of public opinion. People going to meet Mohbad's mother, Mohbad's baby, the mother of his child, necessarily trying to, take this investigation into their hands. Let us remember that the police is doing their job. Let us not make this thing what it isn't. There are persons, why am I seeing pictures of Mohbad's grave on the internet?
People are basically clout chasing.
People are clout chasing. This is not the time for something like this. So please and please, let us focus on the life that Mohbad lives. Very, very importantly, over the weekend, I was watching a lot of his videos and I found this interesting. I'd never taken my time out to watch it. I'm not going to lie about something like that, but there was a particular video that struck me. Peace and the Beast and the Peace, or something like that, where I could see him. There was a cross. He was praying. Talking about Jesus Christ, and it really struck me that when you hear about Mohbad, you just assume that he's a Malian or he's just one of those singers that had come for the street. But this was a young man that was advocating for blessings and, of course, a way to. He was going on the other side. But definitely, at this point, I just want to tell Nigerians, let's be patient and let's see what the Nigerian police will say about this particular matter. No clout chasing, that's not why we're here. Moving on now to our next story. Members of the All Progressives Congress in Southwest Ondo State had a free-for-all palliative meant to cushion the cost of living crisis in the state. The fights disrupted the planned distribution of the items in Okeagbe, the Akoko area of the state, after members accused government officials of stealing. Let's take a look.
The peace and tranquility of Okeagbe in Akoko Edo area of Ondo State was disturbed for several hours as the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Olubumi Oshadam, and a ward chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC fought dirty over the distribution and sharing of palliatives in the state. The palliatives were to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy in the state. All hell was let loose just as the distribution of the palliatives started, amidst allegations that the government officials sent to monitor the exercise were not being transparent with the process. The APC chieftain and the Commissioner for Women Affairs are seen here in a video that has gone viral on social media, throwing punches and everything else that came their way at each other. The Commissioner was seriously injured in the bout, which eventually landed her in nearby hospital for treatment.
Today I'm in my house playing Ludo. All of a sudden, the Commissioner for Women Affairs came in the company of his son, one other guy, and a police officer. When they got to me, the police officer was telling me that I was needed at the station at Okeagbe. Before I could respond or ask any question, his son, Commissioner's son, jumped on me, jumped on me, started fighting me. You can see my clothes being torn. As he was fighting me, so also the mother joined in that process. It's in the process of the police officer that came to arrest me. No. Let's see your face now. If you don't see your face, I will not go.
Ondo State government started the distribution of palliatives across all the 18 local government areas of the state just a few days ago. The aftermath of which has seen a chieftain of the ruling APC and the commissioner exchanging blows in public glare.
Wow, very, very disappointing, if I would say. We've this conversation about how palliatives are shared have come up over and over and over again, and really at this point, I mean, the reports that are getting back is that this APC chieftain's name had been removed from the list of the distribution list of palliatives. That in itself might have been quite upsetting, but in no shape or form should that have led to the violence that we've seen on our screens. No reason for you to attack someone. This is the conversation should have been had with her, or maybe taken to the appropriate authorities, because in this situation now that he's attacked her physically, there's no explanation that could have been given. And she's been taken to the hospital. We could see almost the immediate effect of that chair landing on her forehead. And I'm hoping that the right authorities investigate this and really kind of see it through to the end. But when it comes to the distribution of palliatives, this is the reason why we have pushed over and over again for a proper, a list or proper, agenda for those that are going to get this. Who are the people that really need these palliatives, and how can we make sure that they get what they need? This in itself is just a development that shouldn't be happening.
Absolutely. I mean, just 3 key areas for me. First is that this is totally unacceptable. It's a big shame to the gentleman that is involved, a ward chairman of the APC in Akoko, local government in Ondo State. It is unacceptable. It is shameful. And it shows the kind of, it gives an impression of what the APC looks like in Ondo State. This is where the governor had been ill for a number of weeks, if not months, and was out. At the moment he returned, it is to fight with his deputy governor and to try and remove him. Is there something in Ondo State that makes APC looking so bad? We have seen a demonstration of that in what this gentleman, has done, who is not gentlemanly at all. His explanation is that he was first attacked by the commissioner's son, but we can't see any of that in the video, even though he claims that the video that has been circulated emanated from the commissioner's people. Where's your own video? If you claim that it was doctored. I'm glad that the police, has waded into the matter, and the APC in Ondo State says that the gentleman has been suspended. I think that he should go beyond suspension. I think that he should, what he did is actionable. The last point will be to say that what sort of palliative are we distributing that will lead to this type of altercation? And we have always said it. The palliatives, if that is the last resort that you have to go through, it's not meant for members of the party alone. It's for the generality of the people. So what happened to the so-called register? The social register that everybody has been talking about. If the governors, including the Ondo State governor or his deputy who stood in for him at that point, are saying that they couldn't rely on the register, but that they have a way of managing palliatives in their own respective states. Is this the way to manage a palliative? If you have reduced Nigerians to dishing out and dashing out gari and rice and stuff like that to people, this is what you get when things are not done properly. And I hope that man will have to face the full wrath of the law. I hope that it will not be treated as a family affair within APC in Ondo State. What we saw is reprehensible. It is not looking good at all. But who knows what is happening in other places? This is the only one that we have seen as far as the palliatives issue is concerned.
All right, then I think that's a good place to end it.